This story is fictional and for entertainment only. Any resemblance to real events is dramatized. What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest names gets hit with shocking questions on live TV, questions that cross every boundary? What happens when a host forgets professionalism and aims straight for the throat? Tonight we're breaking down the fiery clash that made Jennifer Lopez walk off Jimmy Kimmel's set, leaving millions stunned and the industry shaken. This isn't your average celebrity interview gone bad. This is a clear example of how fast things can fall apart when respect disappears. Before we dive into this unbelievable moment, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below, because what you're about to hear is truly shocking. You'll want to catch every second of this. Disaster, it's one for the books. It started like any regular Tuesday night episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live. The crowd was electric, the cameras were rolling, and Jennifer Lopez entered to huge applause. She looked stunning in a deep green dress, flashing her iconic smile as she waved to the audience. Everything seemed normal as she took her seat, crossed her legs with grace, and fixed her hair with confidence. Jimmy Kimmel smiled wide, waiting for the clapping to stop before leaning in. Sounding excited, "Jennifer Lopez, everyone," he said, pointing toward her as the cheers continued. "Thanks so much for being here tonight, JL. You look amazing, as always." Jennifer smiled warmly and replied, "Thanks, Jimmy. It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to it." "We've been excited to have you," Kimmel replied, flipping through his cards smoothly. "There's so much we could talk about, sure, new projects, your music, your businesses. But first, I have to ask about something that's been all over the tabloids." Jennifer's face changed slightly, barely noticeable, but different. She kept smiling, but her eyes gave away some tension. She sat up straighter, something in her body language shifting. "Oh boy, here we go," she said, laughing lightly, though it didn't sound real. "What are they saying now?" Kimmel laughed too, but his laugh had a sharper edge now. "Well, you know how it is. You love to talk. But I'm wondering how you feel about some of the criticism you've gotten for your recent performances. Some say you're not showing the same energy as before." That question hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Jennifer's professional smile flickered for just a moment, but she quickly pulled it back. Still, damage was already done. The tone had shifted. This wasn't the fun, respectful interview she'd expected. "I'm sorry, what exactly are you talking about?" she asked, keeping her voice calm but now with a firmness underneath, because from everything I've heard from fans and colleagues, it's been all positive. Kimmel smiled wider, and now his grin seemed almost like he was hunting for drama. "Well, let's be real. You're not 25 anymore. Some people are saying maybe it's time to shift your focus line more into the business world. Instead of trying to keep pace with artists half your age." The room fell quiet. Even the audience could feel something was off. The earlier energy had turned into uncomfortable silence. Jennifer's hands, which had been resting loosely on the chair's arms, now gripped them tighter. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice now low and serious. "Are you actually questioning my talent just because of my age?" "I'm just bringing up what people are already thinking," Kimmel said, holding his hands up like he meant no harm, but still grinning. "We've all seen the clips online. Some of the dancing doesn't hit the way it used to, and your vocals seem a bit tired at times. I'm just wondering if you've noticed that too." Jennifer's jaw clenched. She paused, clearly weighing her next move. The professional side of her was fighting with the personal part that had just been insulted in front of millions when she spoke again. Her tone was cool and controlled. "Jimmy, I've been in this business for over 30 years. I've sold millions of albums, acted in many hit films, and built several thriving businesses. If you think I'm going to sit here and let you talk down to me, you're very mistaken." But Kimmel didn't stop. If anything, her pushback seemed to excite him. "Look, I respect what you've done. Seriously, I do. But let's be honest here. We're adults, right? Can't we have a real talk about how aging works in Hollywood? It happens to everyone eventually." "Aging," Jennifer repeated, her voice rising slightly as she leaned in. "Let me tell you something. I'm in top form right now. Work harder than people half my age. You're sitting there trying to drag me down for what? Ratings? A laugh?" The crowd was silent now, clearly understanding that this was no longer a playful exchange. The next thing Kimmel said would take things completely off the rails. Instead of pulling back or apologizing, he went even further with a line that would be talked about everywhere. "I'm just saying maybe it's time to be realistic about your place in the industry," he said, now sounding downright rude. "I mean, how long can you keep acting like you're still Jenny from the block? At some point, doesn't it start to seem desperate?" That word desperate hit Jennifer like a punch. Her eyes lit up with anger she'd been holding back, and in that instant, everyone in the room knew they were about to witness something huge. The polite celebrity act was over, and Jimmy Kimmel had no clue what storm he had just set off. The silence after that was overwhelming. Jennifer sat completely still, not moving a muscle, staring at Jimmy with a piercing intensity. When she finally spoke, her voice was so low the studio microphones barely caught it, but each word carried the weight of someone who'd faced years of being underestimated. "Did you just call me desperate?" she asked, carefully choosing each word. "Did you really just sit there and say that to me on national television? The first time since the segment started?" Kimmel's smile started to fade, but his ego wouldn't let him see the danger. He was in, "Well, if the label fits," he said with a shrug, trying to act casual, but it came off as smug. "Look, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just keeping it real. Isn't that what good TV is all about? Honest conversations?" Jennifer laughed, but it was sharp, with no humor in it. "Honest conversations? That's what you call this? You bring me on here, hit me with rude questions, comment on my age like I'm some washed-up has-been. And when I stand up for myself, you call me desperate. That's your version of honest television." "Hey, I didn't write." "The tabloid headlines," Kimmel replied, gesturing lazily toward the mess of cards on his desk. "I'm just asking about what's already out there. Isn't it better to address things directly?" No, his tone was openly condescending. Jennifer was clearly holding herself back. She uncrossed her legs and leaned forward, her whole presence changing from relaxed guest to someone ready to fight. "What people are saying?" she repeated, voice rising with frustration. "You mean the lies that gossip sites make up for clicks? You mean the trash that bitter people post online because they can't handle a woman being successful for 30 straight years? That's what you want to talk about?" Kimmel raised his hands again, but this time he didn't look so sure of himself, more like someone trying to calm a wild animal. Okay, let's just take a breath. "I didn't know this topic would hit such a nerve," ducked Jennifer's voice, snapped back fierce and loud. "You think this is about me being sensitive? This is about respect, Jimmy. Something you clearly don't understand." The crowd started shifting nervously. This wasn't what they signed up for. Some looked around, unsure if security was about to get involved. Others pulled out their phones, realizing this moment would go viral. But Kimmel, whether clueless or just reckless, kept pushing. "Look, I get it, this stuff is tough to hear, but the truth stings sometimes. You're Jennifer Lopez, a living legend. But even legends have to face reality. Madonna faced it. Cher faced it. It's just part of how this industry works." Jennifer's face hardened. "Don't you dare lump me in with other women." "Like we're all the same," she shot back, her mask of calm finally cracking. "Don't you dare act like you're doing me a favor by insulting me in front of the world. And don't pretend this is about truth when it's really just about your pathetic need to tear down strong women." Kimmel's face turned red. For the first time, he looked more angry than amused. "Now wait a second," he said sharply. "I've had plenty of successful women on this show and never had any issue. Maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe the problem is you just can't take a little criticism." Those words hit the air like a lit fuse. Everyone seemed to hold their breath. Jennifer stared at him for a long, cold moment. When she finally replied, her voice was low, steady, and terrifying. "A little criticism," she said, like she was tasting the words. "You think this is just harmless critique? You invite me here for a regular interview, then spend the whole time tearing apart my talent, my age, my career. You call me desperate, tell me I should give up, compare me to other women, like we're all replaceable parts in your machine. And you call that just a little criticism? I'm just doing my job, Kimmel said defensively. But there was no confidence left in his voice. Sometimes that means asking tough questions. If you can't handle that, then maybe you shouldn't do interviews. He seemed shocked by his own words the moment he said them. But it was too late. Jennifer's eyes widened in disbelief. She looked like she couldn't believe what she'd just heard. I can't handle it, she repeated, her voice barely a whisper, but somehow more powerful than a shout. Jimmy, I've been dealing with people like you my entire life, men who try to silence me, dismiss me, disrespect me from the moment I was a teenage girl chasing a dream, but the difference is most of them had the decency to do it behind my back, not on live TV. She stood up fast, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. The suddenness of it made the audience gasp. Kimmel looked up at her. For the first time, he looked truly afraid. You want to know what the real problem is here, Jimmy? Asked, now towering over him. The real problem is that you're a small, insecure man who gets his kicks from trying to belittle powerful women. You hide behind your desk, your jokes, and your fake smile. But under it all, you're just a coward who can't stand that I've achieved more in my life than you ever will. Kimmel opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The power had completely shifted. He wasn't in control anymore. He looked like a kid who'd just been caught doing something awful. Jennifer's voice got stronger with every word. And you know. What's worse, she said, you actually think you're clever. You think being rude and insulting is edgy and entertaining, but it's not. It's just mean. You thought tearing me down would make you look good, but all you did was show everyone who you really are. The room was dead silent. Even the hum of the cameras felt loud. Jennifer looked around at the audience, some shocked, some in awe. Then she turned back to Kimmel, who looked like he wanted to disappear. I've been in this game long enough to know when someone's trying to use me for clout. She said, but what you clearly don't understand is, I didn't build my career by letting people like you step on me. I built it by speaking up, demanding respect, and never letting anyone tell me I'm less than I am. She paused her, silence hitting even harder than her words. Then she looked him in the eye and delivered a line that sliced through the room like a knife. So here's what's going to happen, Jimmy. I'm walking off this stage with my dignity. And you're going to sit there and think real hard about what kind of man you want to be? Because right now you're showing the world that you're exactly the kind of man women, like me, have been standing up to our whole lives. Kimmel tried to respond, but all that came out was a weak, shaky voice. Now, hold on a second. Let's calm down. This is still my show. Maybe you're just overreacting to a simple conversation. The word overreacting lit a match. Jennifer was barely holding back. She turned her head toward him so fast, the front row flinched. Her eyes were blazing now, and her voice carried all the rage and pain of every moment she'd been dismissed or disrespected. Overreacting? She said slowly, her voice laced with venom. You spent the last 15 minutes dragging me on national TV, mocking my work, my age, my worth. And you think I'm overreacting? You think calling a woman desperate and irrelevant is just part of a regular chat? Kimmel shifted in his seat, clearly realizing he'd gone too far. I didn't say you were irrelevant, said nervously. I was just asking the kind of questions audiences might wonder about. That's what hosts do, right? I know, Jimmy. Jennifer snapped, her voice booming now. A good host treats guests with basic respect. A good host makes people feel safe to share their stories. What you did was try to ambush me for your own ego and cheap laughs. She stepped closer to his desk, and Kimmel actually pushed his chair back a little, like he thought she might lunge at him. The power in the room had shifted completely. He wasn't in control anymore. Want to know what's really desperate, Jimmy? She said, her voice rising with every word. What's desperate is a middle-aged man who gets his thrills trying to tear down successful women. What's desperate is hiding behind your desk, your team of writers, and that fake laugh track, while you attack people who've achieved more than you ever will. The audience stayed completely silent, clinging to every word she said. Some had their phones out, capturing what they knew was going to go viral. Others just sat frozen, Watching one of the biggest stars in the world take down a host on his own, Kimmel tried one last time to get control. Okay, maybe we've gone a bit too far here, he said, trying to sound calm. Let's just take a breath and talk about your new projects. I'm sure the audience would love to hear about what you're working on. Jennifer laughed, but there was no joy in it, just disbelief. Oh, now you want to talk about my work, she said, shaking her head. Now you're suddenly interested. In what I'm doing after you spent the whole interview questioning if I even matter anymore. You think you can just flip the script and pretend the last 15 minutes didn't happen? I'm just trying to give us a way to move forward, Kimmel replied, this time with real desperation in his voice. We can save this interview. If we just move on. Jennifer's voice got louder, cutting through the tension like a blade. There is no moving on, Jimmy. You made your choice the moment you decided to disrespect me. You made your choice when you called me desperate, and you suggested I should fade away quietly like I've got nothing left to give. She paused and looked around the studio at the cameras, the crew, the audience. Everyone was glued to her every move, and when she spoke again, her voice was calm, but packed with decades of fight. But here's what you didn't expect. Didn't expect me to stand up for myself. You didn't expect me to speak out and show everyone watching exactly what happens when someone tries to break down a woman who refuses to be broken. Kimmel opened his mouth again, but Jennifer held up her hand. The gesture was firm and commanding, and he immediately stopped. I'm not done, she said, her tone razor sharp. You see, the problem with men like you is you think you can. Say whatever you want to, women, and we'll just sit there, smile, and take it. Because we're supposed to be grateful for being invited to sit in your chair on your show. You think you can question our value, our choices, our age? We'll nod and play along like obedient little guests. She shook her head slowly, looking down at him with a mix of pity and fire. But here's what you don't get, Jimmy. Women like me didn't get here by playing along. We got here by fighting for every spot, proving ourselves again and again, and never letting anyone make us feel small. The entire studio was still. Even the sound of her heels on the floor echoed like thunder as she took another step closer. So here's how this ends, she said, her voice dropping into a tone so serious it gave people chills. I'm going to walk off this stage, and everyone watching is going to see exactly what kind of man you really are. I'll see that behind all your jokes, your charm, and that fake smile, you're just another bully who gets a kick out of trying to make powerful women feel powerless. Kimmel gave it one last try, his voice weak and shaky. Jennifer, please. Let's just finish the interview. You can cut out anything you don't like. We don't have to air it the way it happened. That suggestion seemed to offend her more than anything else he'd said. Her eyes narrowed, and her voice came out cold and disgusted. Edited out? She repeated, stunned. You think I want to hide what just happened here tonight? You think I'm ashamed for standing up for myself? No, Jimmy. This is exactly what I want people to see. I want them to see what happens when you disrespect me. I want them to see that even with a camera in my face and a host trying to humiliate me, don't back down. She turned to the audience for the first time, speaking directly. To them now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it looks like when a man tries to put a woman in her place and fails. This is what happens when someone underestimates the wrong person. Then she turned back to Kimmel, eyes locked on him for the final blow. And since you love honesty so much, Jimmy, let me be real with you. You're a terrible host, an even worse man. And if you think I'm going to sit in that chair one more second and listen to your garbage, you've completely lost your mind.
She paused for just a moment, letting the weight of
her words settle like thunderclouds in the room. And then she said the line that would go viral all over the world. So you know what, Jimmy? F asterisk 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 you. The words hit the room like a gunshot. No one moved. No one breathed. Then, with all the grace and power that made her a star, Jennifer Lopez turned and walked off that stage. Her heels clicked against the studio floor in a steady rhythm. As she passed the stunned crowd, the shocked crew, and the still rolling cameras, she didn't glance back. She didn't slow down. She didn't give Jimmy or anyone else in that studio another second of her time. And as the doors closed behind her, leaving Jimmy Kimmel sitting speechless in front of a silent room, one thing was certain: Jennifer Lopez had just delivered the most unforgettable moment in talk show history, and Jimmy Kimmel, he'd never be the same again. So what do you think? Was Jennifer right to walk away? Or did Jimmy have a point about asking tough questions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want more jaw-dropping celebrity stories like this, and tell us what Hollywood clash should we cover next. Because trust me, this industry's full of drama, and we're just getting started.